Good morning, everyone. It's Katrina from the Alluring Bead Boutique in the Bead Mat. And I was starting to do some photos for a right angle weave guide for the Bead Mat website. And about halfway through it, I realized that it would be so much easier to show you the basics of this stitch using bugle beads, because with the bugle beads, you will be able to understand the walls of each unit much more clearly. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and get started, and we're going to do just a little primer on flat right angle weave. Now, right angle weave is generally built in little units based on 4 beads. So that's how we're going to start today, and we're going to use the 4 bead regular right angle weave method. So I've dumped out a little bit of bugle beads in 2 colors. So I picked up 4, and you'll want to alternate the colors. You'll want black, silver in this case. You bring those down to the end of your thread. And since we're really just experimenting and practicing today, we don't really need a long tail thread. So then what you're going to do is you're going to pass back through all 4 of those beads one more time so we can form a loop out of the beads. And so now I'm passed through all 4 of the bugle beads. I'm going to hold on to my tail thread so that I don't accidentally pull it through when I pull my working thread. So once you come all the way through, you'll see how you've created this little bridge of string right here between the first bead and the last bead. So you can either tie a knot, but for purposes of this tutorial, I'm just going to go ahead and pass back through the very first bead that I started from, the one that my tail thread's exiting. And when I pull that all the way through, you'll see how it sets me up as for my little square. Now at this point, you can decide whether you want this bead to be your connecting beads, this color I mean, or if you want the silver to be. And I'm just going to go ahead and use the black. So now we got to get into position. So I'm exiting here to the left of that very first black bugle. I'm going to go up through that silver bugle bead on the left. And then I'm going to go from left to right through the black bugle bead at the top of this little unit. And pull my thread through. So there's my first little unit. So we're going to be building units of 4 beads, but for our next unit, we already have the first bead. So what we'll need to do then is pick up a silver bead, which will correspond to the silver bead here. Then we're going to pick up another black bead and another silver bead, because we're going to have a unit with 4 pieces in it, but we already have 1 right here. So I've got 3 beads on, silver, black, silver. I'm going to pass back through the bead my thread is already exiting from the opposite side. So I'm going to go right back through it from left to right again. And when I pull, you can see that I've created another little square. So I'm going to flip my work over to reinforce. So just because I'm left-handed and it's easier for me to stitch from the left. So I flipped it over. So now my thread is exiting to the left. I'm going to go up the bead on the left. I'm going to go left to right through the top bead. And now I'm in position to add my next unit. But I want to talk to you about reinforcing in right angle weave for just a minute. With these bugle beads, it's not going to be so detrimentally necessary that I reinforce this entire unit. If you find that your units are loosening up as you work, then you would want to continue all the way around this unit. And then when you're working with other people's patterns, if it's plainly states in the pattern for you to reinforce the unit completely, then I always suggest that you do follow those instructions, because they help to your beadwork to maintain structure as you work along. So now I'm coming down this bead on the right, back towards that little bead, connecting bead in the center here. So now I've got to come back through that connecting bead. So my working thread is on the right, so I'm going to go through that bead from right to left. And now I need to get back up to this bead so I can do another unit. So once again, I'll just come up the bead on the left here, the silver one. and then go back through the bead at the top from left to right. So now I have 2 units. So I'm going to show you one more. So I'm going to pick up again a silver, a black, and a silver. My thread is exiting to the right, so I know that I've got to come back through the bead I'm exiting from left to right. And pull. Now I have my little unit formed. So I'm going to flip my work, and I'm going to move into position for my next unit. So I'll go up this bead on the left because I flipped my work. And then over from left to right through the bead at the top. And so that's pretty much it. And you would just keep repeating the same steps to add additional units until you reach the desired length of your project. But now I'm going to show you how to do flat cubic right angle weave also. So what that means is, like, where I have been growing the length of my beadwork from down here at the tail thread straight out in a line, now I'm going to grow my beadwork this way. I'm going to build units off these side silver beads. So first thing we'll have to do is get into position. We're exiting from the top bead here, the black one. All we really need to do is just step over into that one side silver bead on the right. So now we're going to be flipping our work this way. So at this point, this now becomes the connector bead, the silver beads. So for our first unit, we'll pick up black, then silver, then black. We're exiting to the right of that bugle bead. We're going to pass back through that bugle bead from left to right and pull. So now we've created this unit going in the other direction off the side. So now we have this unit built here off of this connector bead. So now we're just going to move into position by stepping up through the black bead here on the right hand side, because our working thread was exiting to the right of the silver base bead. Now we have to build our next unit. But if you'll notice, on this next unit, we already have 2 of our beads. We have the black sidewall bead and we have the bottom silver bead. So we only need to pick up 2. So we're going to pick up a silver and then a black. And you're always going to pick up the color bead. Well, if you're using 2 colors, you're going to pick up the sidewall bead when you're coming into this silver bead. So you'll pick up the second color, not the one that you're going into. We're going to pass back through that next bottom base bead from right to left. So that when we pull, we now have our second little square. So now we got to get into position to add the third square, but we're exiting to the left of that silver bead. So we're going to pass up through this black bead in the center of our 2 new units. We're going to pass from left to right through the silver bead here at the top of our new unit. Now we're going to come down through this right-hand side bead here on our newest unit from top to bottom through that black one. And now we're going to step over into this this silver bead on our last square from the previous row. Pull your thread all the way through. So now for our last unit, once again we still already have 2 beads. We have this black bead and we have this silver bead. But this time we're going to be going into this black bead. So we'll pick up the silver bead last. So pick up black and then silver. You're coming out on the right-hand side of this silver bead. We're going to go down through this black bugle bead that was part of our previous unit. And we're going to pull. And once we get everything pulled into position, we have our last little square formed. So now we're coming out of the bottom of that bead right there. So we have to step over through the silver bead at the bottom of the 2 units, or in between those 2 units, excuse me, and pull. Now we're going to step up through this black bead on the far right hand side of our beadwork. And if we want to add another row, we'll need to step into this silver bead right here from right to left. Like so. And pull. And that puts us in position to repeat everything we did when we added the second row here. But once again, I'm going to go ahead and flip my work because I like working from left to right. So now I'm exiting that silver bead. So I need a black bead, a silver bead, and a black bead. So pick up black, silver, and black. We're exiting to the right of the silver bead, so we'll go through that bead one more time from left to right. And I just think it's so much easier to see the thread path and the structure of the units using these bugle beads. So now I'm coming out to the right-hand side of that silver bead. I need to step up into this black bead from the bottom to the top. Now you can reinforce these units, like I said, and come all the way back around through those beads if your pattern calls for it. And if you feel like your unit is a little bit loose or wobbly, you can reinforce it then too. But just remember that once you reinforce, you'll need to be exiting from the top of that black bead before you pick up your next beads for your next unit. So now I'm coming out of this black bead here. So I know I need a silver bead right next to that. So I'll pick it up first. Then I need a black bead for the next sidewall. So I'll pick that one up second. I'm going to come through this silver bead here on the base of the previous unit right there from right to left. And I pull my beads into position. I have to step back up into that black bead where I started from. Get my tail thread out. Then I'll need to step over through the silver bead at the top. Down through the black bead here on the right hand side. And then before I can pick up my last 2 beads, I will need to step over through this silver bead at the top of my previous row. So now I have one little square left that I need to make. I'm coming out of this silver bead. So I know I need a black bead to go right here first. So I'm going to pick up a black bead. Then I need my silver bead to complete this unit at the top. Then I'm going to come right back down through the black bead here on the left from top to bottom. So I picked up a black, then a silver, and I'm coming down through the black bead. And that forms my last little square. I need to step over through the silver bead here that's connecting that new unit to the previous unit below it. Then I will step up through the black bead here on the far right. And then if I wanted to continue building this beadwork, I would step over into this silver bead from right to left. And that will put me in position to add more units. And then for me, I would flip my work over and start again, picking up 3 beads the first time, 2 beads the second time, and 2 beads the third time. So that's pretty much it for flat right angle weave and flat cubic right angle weave. I'm going to be working on getting the guide out today or within the next couple of days. I've got the pictures done, but I'll have to do the write-up for it. But in the guide, I'm going to be demonstrating using these bugle beads. I'm also going to be demonstrating using some 8/0 seed beads, and in that particular portion of the pattern, I'll be showing you how to do right angle weave with one bead, or 4 beads in each little square, one bead on each side. And then I'm also going to demonstrate how you would go through the same process if you had 2 beads on each side of your little square. So we'll be working with 4 beads and 8 beads in the guide, and also with the bugle beads. All right, folks, so that is it for today. If you're unfamiliar with right angle weave, you should go ahead and practice up. Get yourself some bugle beads, I suggest, and some thread, and go to town and learn the thread paths that you need to take. Learn about the structure of each of your units. And I will meet you guys back later in the week, and we'll move on to something else. You guys have a great day. Make sure you're subscribed to the Bead Mat, and I'll see you soon.